First thing before we start, I just wanted to take just a moment. As almost everyone knows, we lost Senator Bud Estes over the weekend, and let's take a minute of silence for Bud. Thank you. Bud service will be Monday at 1 o'clock in the Buckland High School gymnasium. So that. Are there any bill introductions? Seeing none from the committee, I have some from the director of the ABC. We have two bills, which is RS 1154, which is a reintroduction of Senate Bill 432 from last year, and RS 1157, which is an introduction of Senate Bill 433 from last year. Are there any questions or comments on these two bills? Seeing none, bills will be introduced without objection. Thank you. And then we have three for the other one. And we have three bills that are coming to us from Amy Campbell. And it is RS 1160, which is authorizing the change in the Sunday liquor sales. RS 1162, which authorizes the sale of growlers by retail clubs and drinking establishments. And RS 1167, which is identical to House Bill 2137, allowing cereal malt beverage sales by retailers, clubs, and drinking establishments. Is there any questions or objection to introduction of these three bills? Seeing none, bills will be introduced. Are there any other bill introductions? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item on our agenda is a hearing on agency budgets, and we have a staff presentation by Ms. Gabriel Hall. The first one we'll be doing would be the Kansas Lottery, and the second will be the Kansas Racing and Gaming. Ms. Hall, she'll run through those. You do have the paperwork in your packets on the lottery first, and then the Kansas Racing and Gaming. We'll go through her workout, and then we'll stop for questions. So, Gabriel, if you can proceed.
Good morning, committee, and thank you for having me. Before we get started, Stephen Durrell, the executive director, is joining us, as well as Matthew Schwartz, the director of finance, and they will be available for questions. So just for a brief overview, the Kansas Constitution does authorize a state-owned and operated lottery. The Kansas Lottery has established a variety of traditional games such as Keno, Scratchers, and we have some Kansas-specific games. In 2007, the legislature repealed a provision prohibiting games on video lottery machines and established the Expanded Lottery Act to provide for gaming at racetracks and casinos in limited jurisdictions where approved by local voters. That new law allows the Kansas Lottery to own and operate electronic gaming machines at designated locations, and the Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission, which we will cover later, is given the authority to regulate the gaming activities at racetracks and casinos. The agency does have 7 budget programs that support its operations, and all of those are included in the budget analysis. The first several pages do just give a broad overview and some background information. We are going to start on page 1340 to review fiscal year 2021 in some more detail. So for fiscal year 2021, under that box titled Change from Approved Budget, The agency requests a revised estimate of $344.6 million, all from special revenue funds in fiscal year 2021. The revised estimate is a decrease of $44 million, or 11.3%, below the fiscal year 2021 approved budget. The decrease is primarily attributable to a decrease in contractual service expenditures by $41.3 million, and that's mainly due to a decrease in the gaming facility manager fee, which is proportional to total sales and is paid to casino operators. The revised estimate also includes 95 FTE positions, which is unchanged from the fiscal year 2021 approved amount. Moving to the bottom of page 1341. The governor recommends expenditures of $344.2 million, all from special revenue funds in fiscal year 2021. This is a decrease of just over $371,000, or 0.1%, below the agency's revised estimate. The decrease is due to the governor's recommendation to implement a 5% shrinkage rate, which would reduce the budget by $371,210, all from special revenue funds. Additionally, the governor recommends 90 FTE positions, which is a decrease of 5 FTE positions below the agency's request. That decrease is due to the elimination of vacant positions. And at the top of the following page, 1342, you'll see the agency's supplemental request in detail. The agency requests $1.5 million, all from special revenue funds in fiscal year 2021, to purchase lottery vending machines. The agency reports the majority of the initial 272 vending machines have been deployed in fiscal year 2020 and anticipates placing orders for 70 to 100 lottery vending machines in fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 2022. Just as a caveat, the expenditure does have the potential to decrease SGF receipts during fiscal year 2021 just due to increased lottery administration costs. And the governor concurs with the agency's supplemental request in fiscal year 2021. And Mr. Chair, I can pause here for questions on fiscal year 2021 or proceed to fiscal year 2022.
Committee, do you have any questions? Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are all the positions that are currently there filled in? We said we eliminated 5 vacant.
So there are some vacant positions. The agency might be better able to answer this and how their positions have fluctuated throughout the years. She did just recommend decreasing the FTE positions by 5, but those don't necessarily equate to headcounts, so they might be able to go in a little bit more detail on how that looks for them operationally.
Do you want to ask the agency, or do you want to proceed?
You can proceed, the agency can let us know.
Thank you very much. So go ahead, Gabriel. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Seeing none, go ahead.
Okay, moving on to fiscal year 2022, still on page 1342. The agency requests $375.7 million, all from special revenue funds for fiscal year 2022. The request is an increase of $31.1 million, or 9%, above the fiscal year 2021 revised estimate. The majority of the increase is mainly attributable to an increase in the gaming facility manager fee, and that increase is $29.3 million for that expenditure. Salaries and wage expenditures increases for merit-based adjustments and expected increases in fringe benefit costs comprise the majority of the remaining adjustment. And the request of 95 FTE positions is unchanged from the fiscal year 2021 revised estimate. Moving to the bottom of page 1344, right there in the middle. The governor recommends expenditures of $375.3 million, all from special revenue funds for fiscal year 2022. This is a decrease of just over $390,000, or 0.1%, below the agency's request. This decrease is due to the governor's recommendation to implement a 5% shrinkage rate, and the governor recommends 90 FTE positions, which is a decrease of 5 FTE positions below the agency's request. And that again is due to the proposed elimination of vacant positions. Also on that page is the agency's enhancement request, The agency requests an enhancement of $1.2 million, all from special revenue funds for fiscal year 2022, again to purchase lottery vending machines. They again estimate placing orders of 70 to 100 lottery vending machines for both fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 22. And the governor concurs with the agency's enhancement request for fiscal year 2022. And I can stand for questions on fiscal year 22 or the budget as a whole.
Any questions? Yes, Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about those lottery vending machines, since they're included in both the 21 and the 22. Are we talking about the same 70 to 100, or is it 70 to 100 each year for a cumulative total of could be 200?
Sure. So their request is 70 to 100 for each year. They chose to have a range of 70 to 100 because they would like to order them on a demand basis. They don't want to order them and just have them sitting, say, in a warehouse. And the machines are very popular right now, so they are hard to get a hold of. So they want to make sure they have a little bit of room to adjust the amount ordered, but that would be 70 to 100 in both years.
Any further questions? Seeing none, proceed on to, does that take us through lottery? The lottery?
We are finished with lottery.
So
The
we're finished
agency,
lottery?
yes, is available. And
Okay, let's ask, I think we have a question for the agency. If the agency could come forward, and Senator Peterson, if you want to ask your question again.
I was wondering how many vacant positions we have.
Senator, I'm going to let Matt Schwartz, our Director of Finance, answer sort of questions about the budget, but I am here to answer should any necessary questions come up. So, Matt.
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Steve. My name's Matt Schwartz. I am the Finance Director. Currently, our active headcount is in the mid 80s. Assuming I get through this committee meeting without saying anything that gets me removed from that, is where we stand. So in terms of the budget request, the lottery has asked not to have those FTE positions removed. Prior to and kind of during this COVID process, plans had been considered for moderate staff restructuring that possibly would have brought the number of filled positions to or above the 90. Furthermore, our position is with the possibility of new positions being needed to implement any potential sports wagering legislation that gets passed, and this committee is well aware of that legislation and that progress. It just seemed an unnecessary administrative step to remove the capacity for those positions and then put us right back in a position where we needed to try and get them restored. So, with that uncertainty, we questioned whether pulling those away if this was a good time to do that. Hopefully that answers Senator Peterson's question.
It does.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? Senator Dietrich.
Thank you very much. And I still have a couple questions about the lottery vending machines. If we're increasing to, let's say, a maximum of 200 more over the next 2 years, what is the forecast for the total number you would expect to install in, let's say, the next 5 years?
Steve, if I may, just go ahead. Okay. Initially, the plan that was put in place for purchasing of the vending machines that was discussed back in 2016 to 2018 when this legislation was being considered was in the neighborhood of roughly 500 machines, and that's the kind of the number that those 8 to 10 million in revenue increases, the amount that got slated to be put toward mental health from the net profits from the machines. That's what that was all based on. So the initial purchase, as Gabrielle mentioned, was 272 machines. Most of them have been placed currently with some of the machines that were slated for social environment retailers, bars, restaurants, those types of things. Obviously, kind of put on hold over the last 10 months as being in bars and restaurants was not the was less than ideal. So those are there and plan to do that. There was a second same-sized purchase planned to be done in fiscal 20. As this was ongoing, it seemed a bad idea to go through with that in the midst of what was going on. So we put that on pause and allowed that appropriation to lapse. And then we put in as a what is now a supplemental request to proceed going forward with additional purchases in 21 or 22, hopefully to build to a total number in that 400 to 500 range. We think based on demand and retailers and how the first ones have performed, we feel like that's about the point of where you would start to see diminishing returns with going forward with that. As Gabrielle mentioned, the last thing we would want is to have a warehouse full of those that we had no opportunity to place. So we've taken really from the beginning of this, a slow and steady and really measured approach to putting these in the places where they will do the most good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? If not, we will close the lottery portion of this report and move on to Kansas Racing and Gaming. Gabriel?
Perfect. Before we get started, I just wanted to provide some background information and also recognize the agency representatives joining us today. So the legislature originally established the Kansas Racing Commission in 1987 as the entity charged with implementing provisions of the Kansas Parimutuel Racing Act. The Kansas Racing Commission was redesigned as the Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission in 1996 when the state gaming agency was attached for administration and budget purposes. So a portion of the budget we will review today does reflect expenditures associated with the state gaming agency and their oversight of tribal casinos. The Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission and the state gaming agencies are two distinct agencies and with their own staff, and they are just simply combined for budget purposes. So the budget analysis does contain 3 programs. The Expanded Gaming Regulation Program and the Parimutuel Gaming Program are overseen by the Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission, while the Tribal Gaming Regulation Program is the role of the state gaming agency. And again, that's just for budget purposes. So from the Racing and Gaming Commission, Brandy White joins us virtually. She's the Director of Administration, Finance, and Audit Division. She will provide testimony and be available for questions as well. And from the State Gaming Agency, Kayla Loomis also joins us virtually. She's the Executive Director and has provided written testimony. Ms. Loomis, as well as Stephanie Nicoli, will be available for questions regarding the Tribal Gaming Regulation Program. If there are no questions regarding the agency's structure, we will start on page 1363. So the agency requests a revised estimate of $9.1 million, all from special revenue funds in fiscal year 2021. This is an all funds decrease of just over $311,000 or 3.3% below the fiscal year 2021 approved amount. The decrease is primarily attributable to a decrease in expenditures for salaries and wages and employer contributions to salary and wage fringe benefits due to vacant position within the Expanded Gaming Regulation Program. The agency requests 99.5 FTE positions, which is a decrease of 2.5 FTE positions below the fiscal year 2021 approved amount. The decrease is attributable to the elimination of vacant positions within the tribal gaming program under the state gaming agency. Moving to the top of the following page, the governor recommends expenditures of $8.7 million, all from special revenue funds in fiscal year 2021. This is a decrease of just over $334,000 or 3.7% below the agency's revised estimate. This decrease is primarily attributable to the governor's recommendation to increase the agency's current 5% shrinkage rate to 10%, which decreases the expenditures for salaries and wages by $338,793 in fiscal year 2021. The decrease is partially offset by increases in contractual services of about $4,000 and an increase of about $100 in commodities. And I can pause here for questions on fiscal year 2021, or we can move forward to fiscal year 2022.
Are there any questions, committee? Seeing none, let's proceed.
Perfect. On the same page, page 1364, the agency requests $9.1 million, all from special revenue funds for fiscal year 2022. This is an increase of just over $74,000 or 0.8% above the fiscal year 2021 revised estimate. The increase is primarily attributable to increases in employer contributions to salary and wage fringe benefits, including group health insurance. Additionally, the agency anticipates increased expenditures for computer and professional equipment. And again, the agency requests 99.5 FTE positions, which is unchanged from the fiscal year 2021 revised estimate. Moving to the middle of the following page, 1365. The governor recommends expenditures of $9 million, all from special revenue funds for fiscal year 2022. This is a decrease of $171,084 or 1.9% below the agency's request. The decrease is due to the governor's recommendation to include a shrinkage rate of 5% to salaries and wages in fiscal year 2022. The 5% shrinkage rate decreases salary and wage expenditures by $171,084 below the agency's request for fiscal year 2022. And I would be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions on 2022? I see no questions, so proceed. If you have anything else, did you have anything else?
That wraps up racing and gaming as well.
Okay. Do we have any questions, committee, from the agency? Seeing none, you must have done a great job there, Gabriel. We appreciate it. So with that, if there's no questions, we will close the hearing for the lottery and the racing and gaming, and then we'll move on to deliberations. And what we're doing here is making a recommendation to the Ways and Means Committee for our recommendation for the lottery, Kansas Lottery and Kansas Racing and Gaming budget for these 2 years. So do we have a recommendation? Let's start with the Kansas Lottery. Our plan is to, we're scheduled to report our findings out on Friday during the Ways and Means Committee at 10:30 on Friday. So we will be reporting this out if we can come up with a decision today. So, yes. Yes. Senator Dietrich.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move that the committee pass out the governor's budget recommendations for the lottery, Kansas Lottery for 2021 and 2022 as presented.
You heard the motion. Do I have a second on that motion? Second by Senator Peterson. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. So if there's no further discussion on the Kansas Lottery, thank you very much for that. Let's move on to the Kansas Racing and Gaming. Same situation there. We will be reporting out on this on Friday. And so we're in deliberation for that. I would entertain a motion or discussion for the Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just waiting to be recognized. I will make a motion that the committee passes out the budget with the governor's recommendations for the Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission as presented for 2021 and 2022.
Thank you very much. We've heard the motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Ware. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Our plan here would be then to review these decisions. Gabriel will have a updated report by Thursday afternoon, and we'll review that and then present this on Friday to the Ways and Means Committee. Is there anything else that should come before the committee today? Our plan for this week, let me see if I got my schedule. I've got it right here. Our plan for this week would be tomorrow we have 3 bills that we'll be hearing. Senate Bill 108, creating Veterans Benefit Lottery Game Fund and transferring money to the Veteran Service Programs. Senate Bill 109, requiring that the Kansas Commission on Veterans Affairs Office submit an initial application to the VA for a state veterans home construction grant. And Senate Bill 190, which is creating a Kansas Protection of Firearms Rights Act to restore the right of possession of a firearm to expunge of certain convictions. So that is on Wednesday. On Thursday, we will have confirmation of Colonel Michael T. Ben. How do you pronounce it? Okay, he's the Joint Staff for the Kansas National Guard. And then we also will have a hearing on Senate Bill 181, creating the Elevator Safety Act to require inspections of elevators and licensure for the elevator installation and repair. And we will not have a meeting on Friday, is our plan at this time. So is there anything we'd like to add to that schedule? If not, and I see no further business of the committee, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for the work today. We appreciate that.